Well, the presidential race in the U.S. is in high gear, with both the Republicans and Democrats holding their high-profile national conventions in recent days. Last week, it was Mitt Romney and his fellow Republicans in Tampa, Florida. This week, Democrats converged on Charlotte, North Carolina for their get-together. But is the two-party system truly representative of the American people? Let's take a look.
During the Democratic convention, former President Bill Clinton took center stage and formally nominated incumbent Barack Obama for a second term. Clinton highlighted economy, Medicare, and country's crippling national debt in his speech. This is in line with most Americans who view the current economic crisis as the most important issue facing the nation. Rightfully so. The latest economic data coming out of the U.S. is very alarming. Washington reports nearly 47 million people in the U.S. used their food stamps in June. That's more than 3% higher than a year earlier. The figure has remained above 46 million all year long. Food stamp spending has more than doubled in 4 years to a record $75.7 billion in the U.S. Officials say the program is essential to give temporary assistance to those in need to help them get through these tough times. But the initiative is under threat in Washington. Republicans in Congress have criticized the cost of the program and want to cut expenses by $33 billion over 10 years. This issue is even more sobering when you consider that nearly 17 million people across the country suffered from very low food security last year. It means that they had to either skip meals or go hungry for a full day simply because they couldn't afford food. Putting aside the more serious issues, there were also some funny or perhaps disturbing moments, depends how you look at it, during the DNC. The most notable one was when an amendment was put to vote to recognize Jerusalem al-Quds as the Israeli capital.
President Obama recognizes Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, and our party's platform should as well. Mr. Chairman, I have submitted my amendment in writing, and I believe it is being projected on the screen for the delegates to see.
This one you can judge for yourself.
The matter requires a two-thirds vote in the affirmative. All those delegates in favor say aye. All those delegates opposed say no. In the opinion of the... I'll do that one more time. All those delegates in favor say aye. All those delegates opposed say no. In the opinion of the chair, two-thirds have voted in the affirmative. The motion is adopted, and the platform has been amended as shown on the screen.
The two major parties' conventions have become grand spectacles to attract not only voters, but also major lobby groups.
Both political parties are controlled by Zionist interest, and the whole process is a sham, basically, to get them in positions. And the funding is there, the media support is there, and the American public is not the wiser for it.
The influence of these groups has become so evident that in some cases, the groups are asked to approve what's been said in the conventions.
The two-party system is such a corrupt system right now, totally dependent on huge sums of money. The party platforms are controlled by global elites. Neither party represents the interests of the American people anymore.
The drafters of this DNC platform actually changed the language and made it more favorable towards Israel. Mission accomplished. AIPAC, which is the hardline pro-Israel interest group, reviewed the DNC's final draft, approved it, and, quote, loved it.
Let's go back to our headline story now, the economic situation in the Eurozone. As there are fears of a lingering debt crisis, the European Central Bank slashes its Eurozone growth forecasts for both 2012 and 2013. Shabir Razwi is an economist joining me now live from London to share his thoughts with us. Mr. Razwi, instead of a small economic contraction of 0.1% as outlined by the ECB's June forecast, the bank now expects the Eurozone's gross domestic product to shrink by 0.4% this year. How ominous is the new report by the ECB in your view, and how bad is the situation for the whole bloc?
Hello, good afternoon. Yes, the outlook is actually quite bleak, and the revised figures by the OECD recently really allude to that situation. We are talking about 0.4, 0.5 negative growth in GDP by the end of the year. And the reality of the situation is that all the European nations, whether they are the core nations or the periphery, which has been feeling the pain of the austerity measures, there is no significant growth likely to be by the end of this year in the current quarter or the fourth quarter this year. So in reality, the situation is getting bad to worse, and you know, all the measures have been tried by the leaders of European nations and also the European Bank. Printing money, reducing interest rate, it seems none of these measures are working. And the particular reason why it's not working is because people have lost their jobs, inflation is higher, people do not have income sufficiently to keep pace with the inflationary pressures, hence they do not have money in their pockets to spend in the economy. Therefore, any kind of possibility of recovery is becoming more and more of a pipe dream, if you like, for the European Bank and the European leaders.
Right. So and what's becoming more concerning, Mr. Razvi, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, the OECD, saying that growth in Europe's economic powerhouse, Germany, is also slowing. Now, the OECD says Europe's largest economy could slip into recession by the end of the year. Now, what could be the impact for the Eurozone if Germany does fall into recession?
Well, of course, Germany is the key player in the whole of the Eurozone. And if there is any malaise in the economy in Germany, the impact of that is going to be far more significant. And at the end of the day, the reality of the whole situation is that German banks are exposed to European debt, whether it's Greek sort of debt, Italian, or Spanish and Portuguese debt. Therefore, the banks will start feeling the problem. And again, the situation is quite similar in Germany in the sense, although the GDP has been growing, but there as well, the salaries are not increasing. The inflation, the global inflation, commodity inflation will also have an impact on the German buying power of the people who are operating the economy there. So in that sense, OECD prediction and the possibility that Germany may also go into recession may happen, and that will have a colossal impact all over Europe.
Right, and just quickly before we leave you, the ECB saying that it's going to buy Eurozone government bonds in unlimited amounts as a way to fight the debt crisis. You did mention some points there concerning the inflation, the salaries, unemployment. Does that mean that you think the unlimited bond buying program is not going to be a good way to address the debt crisis?
But look, European Bank is continually doing the same thing again and again. As I think some famous scientists long time ago said that the sign of madness is to do the same thing again and again and thinking of getting a different result. And buying bonds, reducing interest rate, printing more money, all these measures have not worked since the beginning of the crisis, when Greece started experiencing the problem 3 years ago, and we are going on the same journey as has been proposed in the past. Until we realize that in Europe that the ordinary people cannot be pushed so much and their incomes cut continuously with the pressure of inflation on their buying power, nothing will improve in the Eurozone at all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shabir Razvi, economist, joining us there live from London with his comments.